All right. Hello. Now, the purpose of this video is to introduce myself appropriately. Up until this point, I've kind of just been a talking head whenever I post a video or whenever we post a podcast. My name is Sammy Mendoza. I was born in Los Angeles, California. I spent 10 years of my life there before I moved up to Sutter County. I worked in sales my whole life. I've traveled around the country from a young age doing sales. I joined the Air Force and I was in there as a aircraft armament and munition system specialist for the B-1 Lancer. After I got out of the Air Force, I went straight to university. I went to the University of California in Davis. I am now a graduate with a degree in economics and a minor in political science. So that's just a little bit about my background, just so that you know who I am, what I know, what expertise I can bring to the table, because I feel like that's important. These days there's so many people that seem to talk as experts, but they don't have any idea as to what they're talking about, and then they are regarded as experts simply because they're on YouTube and they're giving people information that they want to hear. And I think that's highly unacceptable. And that's one of the reasons why we are in the illusion game that we are in. There's so many false prophets, so much false information that's floating around out there. And what's crazy is I'm starting to realize a very interesting observation that I've been making is that there's sheep on both sides of the aisle. If you want to make it a dichotomy, there are sheep on both sides, and I'm starting to realize that there's a whole lot of people out there that seem to talk as though they know what they're talking about, but they really don't. For me, coming from a research background, from a research school, in order for me to back something, and in order for me to truly stand up and fight for something, I need to know the evidence and have, a clear idea as to what we're talking about, why I'm taking a certain trajectory towards it, and why should I put my reputation on the line for what I'm saying? Because the way that it goes with a lot of conspiracy theories is that, I do believe in conspiracy theories. I do. Because I believe that a lot of conspiracy theories do have just and valid evidence. However, there's also a whole lot of conspiracy theories that I don't believe in, or I am yet to believe in because I haven't been presented adequate evidence for it. And, that's just how my mind works. If there's evidence and it's observable and it's presentable, then I'll most likely believe it, or I'll go towards believing it. However, I'm not going to believe something blindly just because someone with similar beliefs believes it. I'm not just going to be like, oh yeah, then that's true. And I feel like that is something that is starting to become very apparent to me, is that there are certain people that will believe things just because they're on the same side. And see, where I lie, I don't really have a side. I'm more about just truth, just plain out truth. If someone on the left says something that is reasonable, then I'm going to agree with it. If someone on the right says something that's reasonable, I'm going to agree with it. If either of them say something unreasonable and don't present facts or evidence, then I'm probably not going to agree with it. That's just the way that it works. I'm not going to believe in something or stand for something just because it's expected. I think that's highly unacceptable, and that's one of the reasons why people are falling for so much false information. Because people become conduits. They just become conduits for false information. And that's not okay. That goes against the truth. That goes against what we're trying to achieve, is truth in media, truth in community, truth in social groups. That's what we want. But I'm not going to agree with you just because you're a part of a group that I view as mostly truthful. I have every right to disagree with you, or every right to not stand up for what you're standing up for, because I don't have all the information. Now, another thing that I want to get into is kind of like more of a personal thing. Well, not really. Actually, yeah, it's kind of personal. It's about like negative self-talk. And I feel like that's something that I've fallen for. I've been kind of falling for a lot lately. It's just the world has made it extremely difficult to speak the truth because of censorship, and because of that, it's degrading in a way. It's demoralizing. It's highly demoralizing to be censored, because all you're trying to do is speak your mind and speak your truth, but you are censored and you're put in a box. You're put in a box to not be able to share your ideas, and I think that's unfortunate. I think it's like putting your mind in a prison. And speaking of demoralization, I was actually reading a little bit on the Wikipedia page as to what demoralization is. So just a quick Google search and you could go check. So one of the subjects here is sowing the seeds of doubt and anxiety. So causing self-doubt or doubt in a case is the simple definition most commonly ascribed to demoralization. It is only one aspect of a successful strategic demoralization campaign, but is the most pronounced and essential part. As noted, the keynote in the preliminary spade work is the unceasing refrain, "Your cause is hopeless. Your blood is spilt in vain." Propaganda can be an indispensable tool in fostering an environment of doubt and anxiety. Propaganda may be used to ensure the antagonist is the most feared party, give a feeling of non-worth to the target, exploit internal fissures inherent with the target group, or use the element of surprise to show a target population that their leadership and the cause are unable to protect them from the impending enemy threat. Many studies have been conducted that indicate fear is one of the most widespread psychological traits, and that trait can be manipulated for the purposes of demoralization if it can be expanded into anxiety. For anxiety to demoralize, it must result in a distancing of individuals or groups from their cause or leadership because they no longer believe them capable of offering a solution to the source of their anxiety. Real and conscious threats that normally inspire disquiet and fear can be made to cause anxiety and borderline neurosis through the use of such propaganda tools as fables and rumors. So, one of the things that I've started to realize is that the entire demoralization aspect is starting to hit a point of normalization, to where our population has been so demoralized that people are becoming accustomed to the demoralization and adjusting, and that is now their real life. That is just how it is. Because if you look 2 years ago, back into 2019, even to now, nothing is the same. Nothing is the same. Although we may get like, oh, we're going back to normal, nothing is the same. Nothing. We are one of the most divided that we have ever been in the history of the United States, probably since the Civil War. People will look at you differently just because of how you look. And it's not even the skin color aspect anymore, just by the way that you dress and the way that you talk and the way that you act. People tell that you're not from a certain place and they treat you differently. And that's where we're at. They can tell, they can see, they can sense it. And, we recently just had 4th of July. And 4th of July is usually one of my most favorite holidays of all time. I've always very much enjoyed 4th of July and celebrating independence and celebrating our country and all our veterans and all our active duty and just the entire country as a whole, what we are, what we stand for. And I got to tell you, this last 4th of July, I've spent it kind of disappointed. I'm not going to lie. And that's just because, the demoralization aspect is sort of working. It's sort of working because when I take a look at where we are as a country, I see so much division. In where I live, there's people that pretty much agree on things, but you go outside of this bubble and it's completely different. It's a completely different world. The way that everything functions is completely different. And it's really sad because there's a whole lot of people that don't respect the United States. They don't respect the idea of the United States of America. And, they spit on the flag, they burn the flag, they turn their back to the flag, they just don't care about it. They're ashamed of their country. And, that just makes me really sad. And I think it's highly disrespectful to all the people that have fought, all the people that have created this magnificent country. It's an honor to live here. We're the last beacon of hope, the last beacon of freedom on the entire planet. And it's starting to fall apart, and it's really unfortunate. It makes me extremely sad, and that's one of the reasons why I probably spent this 4th of July being disappointed. But I hope that I'm proved wrong, because I'm a hopeful person. I have a lot of hope, and I've had a lot of hope throughout this entire thing that things will turn around, something will happen. But to tell you the truth, I'm getting to the point where I need hard evidence. I need action. I need something to happen in order for me to no longer question what is going on. And I feel like a lot of people are at that point. I feel like a lot of people just need to understand with some sort of magnificent action as to where the future of this country is headed. Because, as hopeful and faithful as I am, my mind always switches to logic, to the logos. As I was saying to Kent earlier, is that I've been stuck on pathos for a little while. I've been stuck on pathos, which is emotion, and my mind is now switching to the logos of the situation, the logic. And my logical mind is starting to tell me we have fallen for tricks. We have fallen into inactivity by being fed hope. And it's a concept called hopium. So essentially what hopium is that in the midst of chaos, a magical supreme figure shall all of a sudden manifest, and it's usually in the form of a politician that will save the day and everything will go back to normal. And it's it's something that's consistently found in history. So it's not something that's happening for the first time. It's a repeated thing throughout history. So what that tells me is that I think that we have a lot of people that are hooked on hopium. I'm not gonna lie, I think that I was hooked on hopium quite a bit. And what I think is kind of crazy is, I'm over here talking about demoralization, and then I'm over here talking about hopium, and I may sound myself a little demoralized, but the thing is that I'm just being realistic. I go and I look around and I see, cities that are locked down, cities that have gone straight up full communist. It seems as though people are just going back to normal and refusing to acknowledge everything that happened. If we were to take a look back and see at all the occurrences that have happened in the past year and a half since COVID, we've all been robbed. We've been robbed. We have lost so much, and we've just let it happen. There's no accountability for it. There's obviously been so much inadequacy, so much inefficiency that's been allowed to occur in our current system that we're just allowing it to go by as though we weren't wronged. And when I say that we've been robbed, we literally have been robbed. When we first went into the lockdowns and they started saying that, we're going to give out the $1,400 stimulus checks to people, a lot of people were rejoicing. They're like, oh my God, free money from the government. I don't think that people understand that money that you're receiving is being received on credit. It's just credit. It's adding to the debt. And when you receive it, it's no longer worth what it's handed to you because of inflation. So you're just saturating the money market, right? So you have a certain amount of money in the money pool, and then you add more money to the pool, which saturates the pool, which means that the money that you have in your hand is no longer worth what the figure says, right? And so I believe that there was this interesting statistic that I saw that 30% of all the dollars that were printed in 2020 were all printed in 30% of them were printed in 2020, which was causing inflation. Now, the way that inflation works, it doesn't happen immediately. It happens over time. And, as we saw more and more stimulus checks go out, all that we were seeing is that the market was becoming more and more saturated. Now, what that is doing to the regular person is that the money in your pocket and the money that you're receiving is not actually worth what you think it is, right? And the way that you know that is because your money won't buy stuff that it used to. It doesn't have the buying power that it used to. I mean, if you look at how much lumber costs these days, a lot of people like to joke about it. There's a lot of memes about how expensive lumber is. But to me, I don't think it's very funny because it's an obvious sign of inflation. And then you see the food prices go up. You see the quality of food start to decrease. And this is all signs of inflation, which was so apparent a long time ago to me. Although there's a lot of people happy, we're getting free money from the government, yay. Nah. Okay, so here's the thing. A lot of you people need to realize that by them constricting the supply and removing you from work, you couldn't work. You couldn't pay your bills. They gave you money. Where did that money go to? Straight to your bills. So it was printed, put in your hands, and then it was given right back to corporations that you're paying your bills through. It's literally a grand robbery. It's a massive robbery. And all they did was fill their pockets. They cushioned their pockets. Pockets because they knew that inflation was going to come. They knew inflation was going to happen. So they created a huge pocket of comfort for themselves, a huge cushion. So while everyone becomes impoverished and everyone's money becomes worth less, they make up the difference by getting more of your dollars. We were robbed. And it's so obvious, to me at least. But, we just let it happen. And, maybe that's just a process of things that we're supposed to allow this to impoverish our country so that way we could build back better, right? Why should we have to build back better? Why couldn't we just continue to have been how we were? We were on such a fantastic trajectory, rolling through. The economy was producing. People weren't complaining. People were employed. Everyone was doing their thing, right? But no, because of the complication of, which is a complication, it's a move on the chessboard. Things became so ridiculously politicized and restricted that it forced everything into a standstill. It was literally the initiation of the global reset. And if you don't see that, you need to pay attention a little bit better, because this COVID factor, it stopped the entire planet. It set everyone sort of on a level playing field. I don't want to point any fingers, but I'm going to point it right at China, because their banking system was on the brink of collapse prior to. In one of my economics classes, we were talking about how their entire banking system was on the verge of collapse. And one of the major reasons why it was on the verge of collapse was because of the trade war and all the actions that President Trump was taking against China. They were on the brink of failure. So how do you fight back? If you were China, how do you fight back? Oh, well, you hit, the metaphorical nuke button. You set everyone on the level playing field, right? And how do you do that? Oh, well, maybe the vid, right? The vid is something that will put every economy at a halt. And the faster that you can recover from the halt, you have a one-up on everyone else. And that's literally what happened. I mean, they were the first ones. They were the first ones to recover, right? I mean, they put down their restrictions. They did not report all their deaths, most likely. Who knows how many terrible measures they've instilled on their population that we have no idea about in order to achieve, getting back to normal, restarting their economy. Because, as our economy's been halted for so long, they've been running for a while, so they have the upper hand. And that's exactly what they wanted. Well, you know what? Don't mind me. I'm just talking shit. But the fact that we can observe all the things that are happening, especially people in power that can observe and see that these things are happening, it's either you're retarded and you are negligent, or you're in on it. You're a part of it. Because to me, it's like, how can you ignore these warning signs? How can you ignore all these indicators as to what's happening in the world? It's so obvious. It's highly apparent. If you just put the dots together, you'll see that there's obvious malicious intent. Hi, Cat. What's up, bud? How you doing? What's up? But anyways, and here's where I'm at with conspiracy theories. I'm not going to believe a conspiracy theory unless there's evidence that you can provide that is scientific, that is logical, that is ethical, that is not just appealing to emotion. Because I gotta tell you, there's people that are falling for things on both sides. It's getting to the point where no one knows what is true and what is not. If you're gonna present on something, then you best believe you better have the best evidence possible to not make yourself look like a fool. Because I'm not gonna put myself at risk and my reputation at risk just because someone is handing me something to stand up for, just because I'm on their side. No, I'm not gonna do that. We need to have ample evidence. We need to have clear logic and reasoning, because that's the way it is. As my time in the university has gone, and being from a research background, I know a lot of people like to downplay college educations. They say, oh, your education's worthless. I think it's not. I think that, although a lot of the universities and institutions do teach subjects and ideologies that are one-sided, it doesn't mean that they don't give you tools on how to understand reality and how to discern facts. It's about looking past the propaganda and looking past the forced ideologies. It's about understanding how to use those tools to find the truth. Because I got to tell you, being in the economics department at Davis, they did teach me a lot of things that were one-sided in one direction. But the reason that I was able to learn and see through that is because I'm pretty much, I'm kind of in the middle. I look for the things that are most reasonable, and that allows me to shift my perspective. I'm not going to just think in one way just because that's how they want me to, or that's how they want me to. No, I think for myself. So I'm not going to believe what you say just because you're here or you're my best friend. If you're my best friend, you can say whatever you want. That doesn't mean I'm going to believe you. I'll believe you once you clearly explain to me and provide evidence and make it clear as to why I should believe you, because that's the way that it works. Anything that anyone tells me that isn't an expert, even experts, if you're an expert, I need to know why you're an expert. What's your expertise, right? You can't just be an expert just because someone labels you an expert. That's not how it works at all. So even if you're my best friend, I will make sure that you're telling me every reason why I should believe you, because that's how you maintain truth. That's how you maintain integrity of a group. That's how you maintain integrity of the self. But yeah, I just thought I'd make that quick video, just get to know you a little bit more, tell you who I am and what my expertise is. You know, when I first started this podcast, I, this channel, when Kent and I first started it, I had a completely different idea as to where I wanted to take the channel. You know, my entire life, I feel I've always focused on topics such as spirituality and understanding the universe and understanding the self. I've always had a major interest in psychedelics, especially. Psychedelics have played a major part in my life and shifting my perspective and elevating my consciousness. So, I feel like one of the reasons why we became so political is because it was, it's one of the most pressing things that's going on in our current world. The politics of the situation, which is unfortunate because I didn't want to focus as much on politics. But when it's the most salient issue on the agenda, it just kind of happens, and that kind of sucks because, politics is great and all, but I think that there's so many other things that must focus on. There's so many other things to focus on. And one of the biggest things that I feel like I've been wanting to focus on is helping other people become the best that they can be, because throughout my life, I've gone through some major setbacks, some big time, obstacles that I've had to overcome. And I feel like sometimes it's nice just to hear it's going to be okay, that you're going to be fine, that no matter what you're going through, you as a human being have the ability to overcome it. You are a powerful, magnificent being of light, and no darkness can take you down. Fear is an illusion. Fear is an energy that feeds darkness. You allow it to have power over you. So why have fear? Fear nothing. Be reasonable, but don't have fear over irrational things. You have the ability to overcome anything. You have the ability to change your situation no matter what it is. It's just taking action. And, that I feel like hearing things like that are what people need. It's that, whatever box you're in, you can always get out. And one of the most important parts of it is just asking God and believing and having faith that God will take care of you, that God is with you and God is for you and God has no reason to impede you. Because why would our purpose be to live a dismal life? One of the things that I say, I don't know if you've heard it before, but humans, as we are on this planet in these bodysuits, in these chemical producing meat suits, we are sensory organs for the universe. That's highly important. That's a highly important aspect of the entire universe. We feel, we have emotions, and that is felt by the rest of the universe. We are the universe observing itself. We are the universe feeling itself. We are very important elements of the entire mechanics of the universe. And it's a shame because people devalue this experience. So many people devalue the human experience simply because they get lost in a trap of hopelessness, of lack of purpose. When you feel as though you have no purpose, as though you don't know what you are, who you are, why you are, to me, what that tells me is that you don't have a relationship with the Creator to understand your connection with everything around you. Every piece of life on this planet is a part of a massive organism, and that organism is connected with the entire universe. Our purpose is high. Our purpose is so valuable, and it's so precious, and it's so rare. I mean, if you think about the scarcity of life in the universe, it's scarce. To have the exact conditions needed for this miracle that we call Earth, that's insurmountable. That's absolutely magnificent. And to me, I don't think that people value it enough. Every single day that you get to wake up and you get to inhale the air and do something and love someone, that's a gift. That feeling of love, that feeling of being, that feeling of doing, it's a gift. And, I feel like a lot of people need to hear it. You need to hear that it's going to be okay. That no matter what you're going through, you will get through it. You just have to change your mindset. You have to change your perspective. Stop paying attention to negative things. Stop paying attention to things that bring you down. Stop involving yourself with people that make you feel bad. Right? Why would you hurt yourself like that? Why? You like, one of the things that I used to do is that I would fit myself into social groups where there were, like, the energy wasn't really being reciprocated. I would just insert myself because I wanted to be accepted and I wanted to be part of a certain friend group. But in reality, the energy wasn't being reciprocated, or I was giving more than they were. And all that was doing was becoming exhausting. And then also, getting into groups of people that, they don't really have their best interest at mind, or they do, but just like not the correct interests. You get those people that are just self-interested but have all the wrong interests. But you get people that are just on the wrong track through life. And to me, that's something that I had to realize, is that there were people in my life that were just going down the wrong path, that, well, at least it was the wrong path for me. It could be the right path for them, although in my perspective, it was the wrong path. I used to drink a lot. I used to drink a lot of alcohol. I used to get drunk almost every single weekend and go out to the club. I had friends that I would just go out to the club with. Do I do that anymore? No. Because looking back at that time in my life, it was fun at the time, but I also made a lot of bad decisions. My physical health was not at its best. One of the most important things that you could do for yourself and for your life is having radiant health, because you just feel better. You go through life feeling better, and you're just a better person. You just feel better, you act better, you think better. You're just an all-around better person. And to me, alcohol is just something that ruins. It ruins you. It's a poison. You ingest this poison, and it just degrades your insides. It degrades your mind. It allows you to become susceptible to outside negativity. And to me, that's just something that I couldn't have anymore. As much as I enjoy wine and a good craft beer and stuff like that, which I will maybe have some as time goes on, but to me, it's like just drinking alcohol for the game of it. I think it's kind of disgusting. And if you look at it from a third person perspective, and you just look at a bunch of people downing poison, acting like idiots, they're just incoherent. And then you get all these people that, like, they get aggressive, or they get emotional, or they get highly sexual, aggressive. That's just weird for me. And then, like, looking back at how some of these clubs were, it's just, it's social. There's so much social pressure in those dynamics, and it's just like very aggressive energy. It was cool for a while. I had a good time. I love to dance. I like to hang out and, flirt with girls and stuff like that. But the club scene, I think, was very toxic. Very, very toxic. And, there's people that black out, right? They just black out at the club, end up going home with someone. They don't even know who they are. They wake up the next morning like, what the what? Yeah. And then they look over and they see this person next to them. They're like, oh my God, what happened? And all these other troubles happen. That's just, there's so many examples of that. There's so many examples of that. But, it just came down to me saying and putting my foot down and saying, I don't want to be like that. I don't want to do that. That culture is so archaic. To me, you don't need to go and get trashed to have a wonderful time. Don't get me wrong. I do like to get stoned, and I'll smoke some weed every once in a while, and that's my thing. I like to smoke weed. But when I smoke weed, I'm not incoherent, and I'm not vomiting, and I'm not falling over myself. I'm not making bad decisions with people. I don't think I've ever wanted to get in a fight while I was stoned. but yeah, it's just changing your lifestyle. Because the way that I see it is, for me, if I'm going to do anything, it's going to be smoke weed or, chill out and explore with psychedelics, but doing it right. That's one of my favorite things is psychedelics. And to tell you the truth, I feel like it's such a misconception for so many people, especially the older population. A lot of people in the older years, they have been programmed so heavily to negate any idea as far as psychedelics. They don't understand psychedelics, so they immediately reject it. And to me, I think that's unfair, and it's highly ignorant. You're just gonna not like something or just completely demonize it simply because you don't know about it, simply because you've been fed an idea of it that is false. There's so many examples of people's lives being benefited by psychedelics. I've been experimenting with psychedelics for quite some time now. And I got to tell you, it has done nothing but benefit my life. I have become a better person. I have done a lot of internal work because of psychedelics. There's a lot of people out there that think, oh, I'm going to pop a tab of acid and have the best time of my life. Yeah, but it's also going to bring up a lot of work that you got to do. What I usually tell people is the psychedelic is a tool. It's like a Ferrari, right? You all of a sudden get inside of a Ferrari, and it's a difficult car to drive. It's very powerful, and if you don't know what to do, then you're not going to do it right. And I usually equate it to people that go into an experience unintelligently or uneducated. It's like having a toddler behind the wheel of a Ferrari. It's not going to end well, or nothing will happen. However, it's all about the guidance, and it's all about going into the situation, going into the experience properly, understanding what you're going to experience, having an expectation set as to what's going to happen to you and what you should prepare yourself for. Because psychedelics are meant to grow you. It's meant to shift your perspective so that way you can integrate these perspectives into your real life. And, I wouldn't say your real life, into your current perspective. It's integrating a new perspective to make it your new perspective. Because, I know a lot of people that go into the experience unknowingly and unprepared, and they usually have very bad experiences. And it's because they weren't told what to expect. They weren't told how the process should work, how you should respect the medicine. And that's what it is. It's medicine. And you should respect it. It's not something to be dealt with in a way that's disrespectful, because in that way, you're not going to have a good time. The medicine is alive. The medicine is a spirit. It has soul. It is energy. It is a vibration. And when you consume it, you absorb that vibration. You become a part. That vibration increases your vibration. You merge with it. You're one with it. And if you do it in a disrespectful way, that will be dealt with. Like one of the examples that I have is, there was this one time I went to a festival up in the Northwest called Paradiso, and I was with my ex-girlfriend, And I was I wanted to do some mushrooms. I wanted to have some mushrooms before we went. And I was doing it just to have fun. I didn't really do it with respect for the mushrooms. I didn't do it for anything else. I just wanted to have some fun on shrooms. And I gotta tell you, I immediately started to have anxiety. And I don't usually have anxiety, but it was essentially the mushrooms they were pulling me down and telling me, hey, there's some things that you need to work on, right? And when that happened, everything that I needed to work on started coming up. And I was talking with my ex-girlfriend, and she really helped me out a lot, on how to find myself, to level myself, and come to terms with what I was experiencing, which, bless her heart, thank God for that. And I came to a lot of realizations about things that I needed to work on in my life. And then after the fact, I kind of went back to normal, and everything was great. I went and had some fun, and I had a good time. But that's just the way that psychedelics work. Don't jump into psychedelics thinking that it's going to be happy dandy all the way, because there's a lot of work that you need to do in between. There's a lot of things that psychedelics will bring up, so that way you can become a reinforced, fortified you. Because shadow work is a key part of psychedelics. And to understand your shadow, it's to truly understand yourself. You can't just look at your light without understanding the shadow. They're one and the same, but different. And that's the thing, is that unless you become comfortable in understanding what your shadow is and who your shadow is, you'll never truly know who you are. You'll never have full acceptance of yourself and everything that you've been through until you recognize the shadow and understand the shadow and integrate the shadow. And that's just a part of it. That's just a part of the work. And a lot of people, I don't want you to scare you. I don't want to scare you from doing psychedelics. It's just that you should go into psychedelics knowing that is a part of the experience. And it's really only going to make you a better person at the end of the day. But that is why when you enter psychedelics, you have to go in with the mindset of respect. You have to understand your set and setting is immensely important. Who you have around you, who you're allowing to influence you, that's so important. The energy around you is crucial. Energy is crucial. If you have the wrong people around you, it can influence your trip in a completely bad way. If you have the right people, you can have the most magnificent adventure you will ever have. And that's one of the things with me, is that I've been experimenting with psychedelics for quite some time, as I've said, and I'm starting to realize that because of my experimentation, because of my knowledge and my research and everything that I've experienced, I have expertise in that realm. I'm not a big time researcher or anything like that when it comes to psychedelics. However, I feel like I have experimented with it enough. I have observed it enough. I have studied it enough. I have even done presentations on it that I can offer advice. And, as a lot of people start to discover psychedelics more and more, I think one of the things that is crucial is having guidance on understanding their experiences and unfolding the experience to understand what you're experiencing, what to do better, how to integrate and understand the shift in perspective, and how to carry on with your life. And if something bad happens, how to recover from that. How to make sure that doesn't happen again, or how to interpret the bad scenario so that way it's beneficial to you. Because I got to tell you, one of the things that would have been fantastic for me in my experimentation is to have someone to talk to that was seasoned on the subject, right? Because I know that there's a lot of people that are very curious about psychedelics. And I can tell you right now that you have nothing to fear when going into psychedelics. You won't die. You won't die. You definitely will not die It's all a state of mind. And I can reassure you that. So, if you would like guidance in a psychedelic adventure, feel free to send me an email. Send me an email. Let's see what's up. And then, if we want to move forward, we can discuss that on some other terms. If you would like to speak with me more often, I'm totally down for that. We can work something out. But I think that psychedelic exploration is the key to the evolution of consciousness. It's key to your evolution as a human being. And I think that as we move forward in time, it's only going to become more and more necessary for human beings to go through these experiences and do so appropriately. But yeah, anyways, I just wanted to add to that. And I hope you have a wonderful night. And just know, if you're going through something, it's going to be okay. Don't talk yourself into an oblivion. Don't talk yourself into a hole. I've done that to myself a lot, where I just dig a hole and I dump myself in it, and I just keep digging it deeper and deeper and deeper, and I just keep making myself feel terrible. Don't do that to yourself. Just know that you're a wonderful person, you're vibrant, you're amazing, and you don't have to think like that. It's all about how you think about yourself and how you think about the world around you. We're manifestors. We manifest our reality, so manifest the best reality possible.